Welcome, welcome. My name is Aoife, and I am a mind body coach. I help sensitive women to learn the tools to heal yourself from chronic pain, chronic illness, anxiety, and depression using the same tools I used to heal from 30 years of conventionally incurable chronic symptoms. So, welcome to the channel. And today we have Sean Hershey, who is a chronic pain therapist currently based in New York. So welcome, Sean.
Joking before that I want to move to Spain. Maybe in the future.
You never know. But welcome, Sean. I'm so excited for our chat today. And just thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. No, thank you for inviting me. I mean, we found each other on Instagram, and I'm so glad to be here and to be talking to you. And I somehow know your story. I've consumed so much, like over the course of like my healing journey, I've consumed so much content about like different people who have healed. I don't know where I heard your story, but I know I heard it somewhere, some podcast. So it's nice to actually meet you.
Yeah, it's so nice. And you know what? Like all the stories just kind of mesh into one, I think, at some point. And but the beautiful thing is everyone, and why I love having this channel so much is everyone has their own like what Anna Holtzman calls like special sauce, like
Mm,
their own just unique expression
mm.
of how this journey works, how these tools can work for you and also then the symptoms can be so different and for even though the journey is so similar, but the symptoms can be different. And I know people really benefit from hearing about a variety of different symptoms and just a variety of people's journeys. So that's what I vibe off. So why don't we go ahead then? I'm dying to hear about your journey and your story and what brought you to the mind body connection. Were you already a therapist? And what were the symptoms? What was
Yeah,
happening?
okay. Yeah. Okay, totally. Yeah. Um, I'm like, I don't even know where to start. I was on Nicole Sax's podcast maybe about 6 months ago, and I was trying to tell my TMS story, and I'm like, it's so long, I don't even know. So I need to get a good sort of like elevator pitch to describe it. But so when I was a kid, I would say my first, now that I look back, I can see that I've had TMS and different mind body symptoms like all my life. Um, the first symptom that's like really clear to me when I look back is that I had headaches when I was in elementary school. Um, and there's a t obvious, I mean, at the time, I thought I had allergies. My mom thought I had allergies. Um, I can remember different, like I remember the smell of our car in the rain. My family had like a Jeep, and when it would rain, the car would smell so disgusting and it would give me a headache every time. And I can still viscerally picture that, like really thinking like it must be the smell that causes my headache, even though I had the headache. I mean, I had headaches constantly when I was a kid and was taking like child Motrin all the time. Um, and so it's clear to me now, looking back, that it was not the smell of the car, it was emotional. Like I was uh gay, but at the time that wasn't even how I would have conceptualized myself. I was like a feminine kid in a very mainstream Catholic school in St. Paul, Minnesota, and it was like not the place for me to thrive and shine. And
And can
and
I
it was
just jump in there, Sean? For anyone who's not American, what age would you be when you're in elementary school?
good point. Six, like six to
Young.
13, maybe. Yeah. So young. Yeah. Um, so that was my first symptom. As I look back, that's really clear to me. That's like this is definitely a mind body symptom was headaches when I was a kid. Um, as I got old, and then it ebbs and flows. The headaches went away. Like I did a bunch of allergy shots when I was in fifth grade, so that would have been, I don't know, 11-ish, maybe, I don't know. my mom would take us to myself and my younger brother. She took us to this allergy clinic and we got allergy shots every week for maybe like a year. It was a long time. And the headaches really did go away. And I thought at the time, like, oh, the allergy shots must have worked. Who knows what that really was? Was it a placebo cure? Was it the emotional situation changed? I don't remember. But the headaches did go away. Then the mind body stuff resurfaced when I was 19. My hips started hurting. And I was convinced at the time, I was like, oh, because I do a lot of yoga. I was like, I must have overstretched my hip. And I remember thinking like, oh, it's just gonna go away. And it was like this, I had taken this very long walk with like a bunch of my friends and we were in college and we went just like far away to this place on this day. I remember it so clearly and then came back and my hip was like really hurting. And I remember like going to bed and being like, it'll be gone by tomorrow. Wasn't gone by tomorrow. It'll be gone by the next day. Wasn't gone by the next day. And it literally this symptom is continued to this day. The one symptom that like is just not like fully gone yet. Even though it's gotten, I mean, I've gone through ups and downs with this, and it's gotten. I'll get to this, but it's gotten so much better. There have been times where my hip pain is at like a 10. Now I would say it's at like overall like a 2 or 1. It's very low, but it's not. It's still there. And I'm like, damn, 19 to I'm now 36. Like it's just the power of what emotions can do to the body is it's really awe-inspiring. It's angering because I'm like, yeah, this is so hard to just get it out of my life. Um, so okay, so there's that whole symptom imperative. And then the worst symptom imperative I ever had, which thank God is basically now cured, was IBS in my 20s. After I graduated from college, I would have been 21, 22, I guess. And moved to New York, got my first like actual job, and I was like an actual adult for the first time, like my own apartment, et cetera, et cetera. And it was, you know, it was just like a rude awakening into like, yeah, life is hard. And work is hard and dealing with money is hard and all of the above. And I developed really bad IBS that I did not associate with emotions. I was like, something must be wrong with me. And that was by far my worst symptom imperative. 22, age 22 to like, it was really, I don't know. I can't really even put an end date on it, but I know that the chronic severe phase of that is absolutely over now, which literally feels miraculous. I mean, it was so bad when it was bad. Like, the number of things that I tried to make it better. It was I was always bloated. I felt so awful. Um, I was like constipated, but felt like I needed to like have a bowel movement like all the time, gassy. Like I just felt like disgusting all the time. And I felt like I looked so gross. Like I really got in my head about like my stomach is like so like distended. It's like I'm so skinny, my stomach's so big, like I look awful. Like what's wrong with me? Something clearly must be so wrong with me. So like diving into like is it this intolerance? Is it that intolerance? Do I need this pill or that pill or this cleanse? I got really deep into this liver cleanse for a while that none of that stuff helps, obviously, because you know here I am. This is what really helps. Like with the chronic issues, it's obviously emotional and psychological. Like that's what actually helps. So I actually found this brain retraining thing. Um, it was called DNRS. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it was
Heard of
great.
it. Mm.
It didn't take me well, so that was like part one of my healing is that I found DNRS when I was it stands for Dynamic Neural Retraining System, I want to say. And it was like brain retraining. It was good. Um and so I did this whole DNRS program that was like online and it's like retrain your brain because your symptoms are coming from your brain. Um and it helped a lot. It didn't make the IBS like go away, but it did help a lot enough so that I was like, I can like feel okay in my life now. Like I can just like keep it pushing and I can feel okay. Um, Then during the pandemic, my hip, which had been just like kind of low level in the background, causing some pain, my hip got a lot worse. So that was 2020. Suddenly it was like, oh my God, like my hip is hurting every day. How did this happen? Like, is it the chair I'm sitting on? Because I'm a therapist and I've been a therapist for 10 years now. I started in 2014. So, all the sessions were from home. So I'm like, is it because of my chair? Is it because of my headphones? Is it because of the like I don't leave the house all day? Is it because like what is it? Like I was working out a lot before. Is like is it because I'm not going to the gym anymore? Like all of this to say like what physical issue is causing my chronic pain? Totally going down the wrong rabbit hole, but that was all I knew at the time. And I found the my first entry point into like the mind body world of stuff that like really started helping me, like this stuff, like pain psychology stuff, is uh so I like I said, I'm a therapist and I have a another therapist who I consult with. Her name is Laura and she's awesome. And so every week we meet and you know like she asks me questions about her clients and I like advise her. She asks me questions about she then I ask questions about my clients and she advises me. It is very helpful to just have another perspective on like different cases, especially when I feel like stuck. Um, so there was one client I had who had asked me like she was like I want to journal. Will you like help me come up with some good journal prompts to like get me thinking? And I like journaling is not something I had ever done much of, at least not recently. And so I was kind of like, okay, let me like think. And then I went to Laura and was like, wait, like this client was asking for journal prompts. Like, I don't even know. Like, give me some good ideas for journal prompts. And she was like, you should look into Nicole Sachs because I just went to this retreat all about chronic pain and journaling, and it was awesome. And Nicole has like so many resources when it comes to journaling. Look into her. And I was like, okay, great. And then when we were talking, the Laura was like, does your client have chronic pain? And I was like, yes. How did you know that? And she was like, because she also has a lot of trauma, so that's like common. I mean, like, you know, that makes sense. And I was sitting there being like, I have chronic pain. And I felt like so called out in the moment, like, wow, okay, like touche, you know? So at that night, I go on Nicole Sachs's website and immediately I was like, oh this is for me. Like I get like I'm gonna forward this information to my client, and I did, and she didn't really like pick it up the way that I did. I mean, I saw this and was like, okay, healing the brain and healing emotionally to heal the body, like got it. This is actually exactly what I need. Like, and it took me a while to really believe that it was gonna work for me because my recovery process was pretty slow, I would say. Like there was a lot of doubt, but there was some kernel in there, like of deep knowing right when I saw this stuff that I was like, oh, I see. Like this, even if it doesn't work and I doubt it and I feel like, you know, I'm scared it won't work for me, it's something about it. I was like, it's got to be the right thing for me. I just know it. And lo and behold, it has been. My hip pain is so much better. My God, after, and it's really been a lot of like a lot of journaling. I had my own chronic pain therapist. Um, I like had the Curable app. I've done like a lot of different, lots of books, read a lot of Dr. John Sarno's books, a lot of other stuff. I've had to get like my brain needed a lot of information to like be able to calm down and get out of like the old Western medical paradigm and into the mind body paradigm. Like I needed a lot of information to kind of convince me. Um, and then I had to process through a lot of emotional stuff that I was not acknowledging. And I truly didn't know. You know, even as a therapist, it's so weird. At the beginning of this process, I was like, well, I don't really have repressed emotions. Like, I think I kind of feel most of my emotions. I truly thought that. And I was so wrong. You know, I want, if anybody's listening who is in that headspace, just know that like if you have chronic pain, you probably do have emotional material that's not acknowledged and processed yet. I was totally there where I was like, that's not me. And I was so wrong. So I invite people watching to question yourselves. You know. But I'm doing so much better now. The IBS, which was already kind of in the background, that is not a chronic issue anymore. Like truly, it's a miracle, honestly. Like I have certainly like my stomach will hurt sometimes, but it's always makes sense now. Like it's always like it's because of an emotional thing. It's because I'm overwhelmed. It's because something, emotional happened. And like if I attend to the symptoms emotionally, like meaning by that like relax, time to go home now, go to bed. Like if I attend to the symptoms emotionally in terms of like deal with um deal with what you're feeling and deal with your nervous system, then they go away. Which was not the case before. It used to be chronic. It used to be like, I don't know what's going on. What did I eat? Oh God. And that line of thinking never helped me. Now, when I get the symptoms, they go away quickly, and it's really not a chronic problem anymore. Like I said, the hip is the last symptom imperative that's still holding on, but it's way better. And it's the fact that there's still like even right now, I feel like basically nothing in my hip right now, which is awesome. But I'm like, I know that I know it's coming back because I know it's ways now. But to me, it just shows me like there's still a little more work to be done. And I'm not scared of that. I'm like that's okay. Like I've done a lot of emotional digging already. I can do some more. We're not at the end of the path yet, but we're close. Um, and it's changed my life so much. Truly, it's changed my life so much that now at the beginning of this year, so at the beginning of 2024, I was like, I need to like offer this as a therapist because it's just like radically made my life so much better. I can like walk around without pain and symptoms bothering me all the time. It's like that it changes everything. And all the, I wouldn't have known especially my hips. The stomach was always like, maybe there's something emotional to it. That sort of made sense. The hip, I had no idea. Truly, no. I was fully didn't even question it. I was like, something's obviously wrong with my hip. Something's wrong with the bones. Something's wrong with the muscles, the ligaments, the joints. Something's wrong with it. And it really was an emotional and psychological issue. And it truly, and so the fact that this has changed my life so much, I'm just like, I want to be able to offer this to people now. And now I do. Now I have like I'm just getting started, but I've got a few clients now who are seeing me for chronic pain, and it's going well. And it's exciting. It's super exciting.
I am so excited about that and loving absolutely everything you're sharing. I'm just drinking it up and so much I can relate to. I want to tune into how you were describing like when you were a kid and you were already like making a connection to the smells like causing your headache and how it's like an old paradigm or an old like some people have described or sometimes I even describe this mind body paradigm as learning a new language. And it's like when you were speaking that old paradigm language where you're looking for external clues to like your own sensations from such a young age. And the same for me with food and intolerance testing with the IBS since I was really young. And it's only in hindsight then, like when you're looking back in these different parts of your life, where you're like describing yourself as a kid, feeling different in a Catholic school, and I also felt different for different reasons, but I felt like really different as a kid. I was so sensitive, and I had moved from England to Ireland, and so I had an English accent. And anyway, I was just different. I always felt like I was quite different, but anyway, then
Yeah,
moving through
I
your
might have put that up because like that really takes a toll. I feel like that kind of stuff is kind of and especially for sensitive kids, but maybe really for anyone, like that kind of, I feel like people disregard how difficult those childhood things are. And I certainly disregarded it for myself. Like I thought like, oh yeah, like, being gay in the community I grew up in was shitty, but not that bad. And like it certainly could have been worse. My God, it really could have been worse. So I never really fully allowed myself to feel the gravity of that until much later when I started doing this chronic pain work. So I totally relate to you in the idea that like shitty things happen and you act kind of like everyone acts like it's not that bad, but like if it's that bad, it is that bad, and your body holds on to that.
I think that's why we're all in this era of like unpacking right now, which is what the mind body paradigm is all about. It's like, okay, everyone, I think we need to regroup because did anyone else experience that?
Right,
You
right.
know, and I also just want to reflect that I super appreciate you sharing how where you're at with your hip pain because so many of my clients and people jump on start they resonate with the mind body journey and they start using different tools, and it's so frustrating when some people they don't get any changes in their symptoms for a long time, and I did get changes in my symptoms, so I had that like miraculous kind of like that energy to ride off. But I have had other symptoms that have lingered, and even symptoms that I kind of didn't even think were a problem or were symptoms that are revealing themselves. And, it is on the one hand frustrating, but on the other hand, like you described, when you have even just a seed, like a kernel of like resonance, like, no, there's something in here that I haven't heard before that deeply resonates with me. And to be honest, like that's what carries me through life right now. And I love how you were honest about your doubts from the start because so many people come to me and message me on Instagram saying, how can I heal if I have doubt? And I'm just like, wow, man, like doubt is so normal.
Yeah.
Just in everyday life, it's so doubt people like doubt just arises. Am I doing okay? Am I doing the right thing? Is this person for me? Is this life for me? Is this country for me? I don't know. Like doubt is normal, and I think people feel like it's a sign that they're doing something wrong. So it's really good to normalize that
Yeah.
thought
Yeah.
process.
Fully agreed. Fully agreed. And I'm thinking about the like the hip pain. I never want to put out the message like it doesn't work or something. I feel like it's hard to describe because I'm like I do still have a little bit of pain in my hip. That said, it like from the very beginning when I first found this stuff, and I did Nicole Sachs has an online course that was kind of what got me into it, and then I read Dr. Sarno's books and that got me in deeper. um I could feel my hip release right from the beginning. You know what I mean? And even though it wasn't like, oh, it's fully gone, I could feel it release. So and I don't know. I mean, not everybody would get that kind of relief, but I did. So I knew there was something to it. And there have also, I mean, it's funny, like life kind of it goes in circles. Like there have been times where I'm like, oh, my hip pain is gone because it will be basically gone for a few weeks, and then it's back, and then I'm like, oh God, it's not gone. So I mean, I just want to be clear, even in acknowledging like that it's still there on some level. Like I know this works because it already has worked so well. You know what I mean? Like I don't want what I'm saying to cause doubt in anyone because it does not cause doubt in me.
I just love this so much because, yeah, I'm the same. You know what? I did heal my IBS of 30 years in like one fell swoop after a few books. It was the fastest thing to go for me. But then I had the symptom imperative, and I shared this a million times, but I got insane insomnia and insane anxiety. And I already had like anxiety condition, like, but it got worse. But amidst that worsening was this sense of peace and relief that I had never
Mhm.
felt before. And that's what I experience grows within me. And I also, yeah, have this like in and out with some other symptoms that I'm working on healing. And oh my God, it's gone. Steady, everything's good. And then it's back. But
Mhm.
it's like I live in a different paradigm. In the past, 2017, before I found this mind body connection, everything was so frightening. All of my symptoms were so frightening and so confusing. Only today, every now and then, this drops into me, right? Like it was like a dark place, such a dark place to be living with, just say like you're saying, like your hip pain with these very real debilitating symptoms and have no clue or think you have a clue, but you're so off the mark that you go
Absolutely.
down like like all kinds of rabbit holes with consultants or whoever it's affirming, and it's like, and you're just so invested in something, you get the end of that rabbit hole and you're like, whoa, not only is this not the answer, but I'm in a worse situation. Like it, sometimes I think of it like medieval, like a dark era, a different time, like the light wasn't on. So now the light is on. But hey, like you shared, like it doesn't mean that it's super easy because there's like all kinds of like emotional layers and that I'm constantly meeting within myself. But it's so much clearer. I feel like it's so much clearer and simplified.
Yes.
And once you can find your kind of your groove, let's say, with it, like you said at the beginning, for you was like you really needed lots of information. I did too. I loved the information and I just consumed loads and loads of information. And then I was like, needed to like embody that information. Okay, I need like some sort of actionable tools that work for me and my kind of personality type and my sensitivities and my beliefs and worries and about that are unique to me. So, but yeah, it just feels for me like yeah, the light is on and I
Yeah.
get it. And like you said, like when your hip pain arises or something, you're like, you can meet it. You didn't use these words. I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but like, or your with your IBS, that you can meet it with a compassion and understanding. It's like it's just a language. You're like, okay, now I speak this language.
Mhm.
My body's talking and I know how to talk back and I know, how to work with this.
Right, right. And the amazing thing about that is like then it goes away, truly. Like with my IBS, like when I attend to it, like it just relaxes and goes away. And it like I wouldn't have believed that. I love what you're saying about the dark ages. I totally resonate with that. It's like a different era. Like I found out about this stuff 2022. I think that's right. Yeah, I think that's right. Um and it was the beginning of a totally new paradigm for me. Like it really changes everything, and it's a different era for sure. The other thing that I want to pick up on what you're saying is like, yeah, this is not easy, and that's a frustration that I've certainly had personally, and that like my clients, now that I'm seeing clients for this, that is one of the really hard parts. I think so many of the false cures, that are like, take this pill, do this protocols, do this diet, cut out this food, the stuff that's like change something about your physical body to change the symptoms. Those things promise like, a lot of them promise like quick relief, miracle, magic, oh my God, and all that is wrong. Like none of it really helps unless you get a placebo cure from one of those things. Possible. But the actual treatment isn't getting to the actual source of the problem. This is different. Like it is hard. It's a journey. It's not gone right away. And even though it is actually, I truly feel it is actually miraculous, it doesn't feel that way in the day to day, because it's like, well, Monday is bad, Tuesday is worse, but then Wednesday is great, but then Thursday it's back. And like, I'm not in that place anymore where it's like that up and down, but I was for a long time. And it doesn't feel miraculous when you're in that space where you're like slowly healing. It feels just like really shitty and annoying, and like how much internalized emotions and trauma and shit do I need to think about and reprocess, and this is exhausting. And how come some people who have like been through worse trauma than me don't even fucking have chronic pain? It's like there's so much frustration. And I do find, like, now that I'm doing this with other people, I find that it's sad to see people who I work with sometimes feel so like unmotivated or so down because like it's going to be a long journey, or it already has been such a long journey, and now it's another leg of a long journey. And I don't know how to communicate to people like it will help you. Like this, it stops the other stuff. Like this is actually, I really think this is actually what's going to help you. And then, to tell the story where it's like, I'm doing great now, but I still do have pain sometimes. Like I feel like the way the chronic pain brain works, it latches not onto I'm doing great. It latches onto like I still have some pain sometimes. It's like, well, see, nothing works. What's the point? But it's like I feel like there's not even words to describe how different my experience of pain is now than it was before. First of all, if you just go from normal pain scale, it's gone from a 10 to like a 2. So that's just like on the basic face value. And I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like I just have a totally different relationship with it where I listen to it. Um, but yeah, I'm just sensitive to this as we're talking about it. I'm sensitive to like putting out a message somehow, like because I know how the chronic pain brain works, and I know some people will hear this and be like, "Oh, so mind body treatment doesn't work," and that's just so far from accurate. I just want to be very clear about that.
I just totally agree with you on everything you're sharing. And I know how frustrating it is when you've already been on such a long journey with your pain and then you start healing. And like you said, it's just like can feel like another leg of a long journey. And, you know, when you start doing this healing, like it is so deep. That's the thing. You have to remind yourself it's such deep transformation and like the results, the external tangible results of that deep transformation, there's a lag. Like there is such a lag between that work. And that's why I think as like coaches and therapists, you can see it in your clients when they start talking different and you're like, oh my God, it's working. And they're like, what do you mean it's working? I feel like shit. Like, but you're like, no, no, it is. I can see it. And like, so I think having that support that I think you're just like a guide and a cheerleader, like, yes, keep going. But yeah, it is frustrating. But I feel like what you were saying as well, you were saying that your experience of pain is so different. And I was literally thinking as you said that, my my experience is different, full stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's because we come to the, and I always say this, but like we come to this place with symptoms at the front and foremost of our, but for me, it was my life. It was all I could talk about. It was all I could think about. It was consuming. It was like, obviously, I was like a death's door. So I would have taken that magic pill. All I wanted was my symptoms to be gone. That's all I wanted. And like you were sharing, I had done like I'd been in a Tibetan meditation practice for years. I had done so much emotional work for someone to say to me like maybe it's emotional. I was like, are you kidding me? I've done more therapy than anyone I know. Like this cannot be that is
Like
the
I couldn't
case.
possibly need more. It's
I couldn't
impossible.
exactly, but I was like, okay, the lights are on now. I get it. It's like a hard pill to swallow.
It
But I
is.
took it. I took the pill, and it's that everything else got richer in my life. And it's that the symptoms started to like do all kinds of different things, and some of them went forever, and some of them just morphed around, and now, you know, different things pop up or don't pop up or whatever. They just do their thing. But the 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 gold for me is that everything else in my life is richer than I could have imagined.
Yeah.
And that's what makes my life as a whole, my day-to-day life, even the tough days, like just so like so much more peaceful and purposeful and connected and grounded and just like rich.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so it's
Totally.
like that paradigm shift that you're talking about. It's just like different experience.
Absolutely. I know I totally relate to that. And I think the part you're saying about like it's healing on like a deep fundamental level. And my experience of that, and which I think is pretty common, is that like it's a healing that you don't even realize you need, but you do need it. Like I didn't know. I wasn't really like consciously letting in how much, well, obviously, I wasn't consciously letting in how much I was repressing and how much I wasn't paying attention, how much I didn't know like who I really was and was like scared of being who I really was and was like ashamed of who I really was and just like ashamed of like just like growing up ashamed of just like being a person in a body who has like needs and wants and desires, like I've been getting in touch with like me as just like a human um over the past 2+ years in a way that I really didn't even know was necessary or possible before, you know what I mean? And so like there's one thing that Nicole Sachs, who I follow closely, like, she says like don't ask like why is the pain happening to me, ask like why is it happening for me. And she's very big on like being grateful for the pain. And the first like year of me doing this, I did not get that. I was like, what do you mean this is happening for me? Like this sucks. Like grateful, like I guess I'm grateful that the pain's going away, but like I lost so many years of like good times when my IBS was so bad. Like, how am I supposed to be grateful for that? But now I don't like I feel like there's no easy way to explain it to help it land with someone who like doesn't fully get it yet because I didn't get it, like a year ago I didn't get it. But now I'm like, oh, I see. My consciousness has expanded a lot. My relationship with myself, like that has changed a lot. And so I'm like, yeah, I did need the pain. Like, why did it happen for me? Like it did give me a deeper level of consciousness. And now I wonder, like, um, it makes me excited. It makes me excited about what's next. Like I said, I'm like, there's still a little hip pain, so I'm like, there's still a little more work to do. And I'm like, I don't feel like, oh God, what a bummer. I feel kind of like, okay, like life is long, hopefully, and like there's more work to do, and it's exciting. Like I'm the kind of person who finds healing and journaling and that kind of stuff like fun, which is a plus when you have a lot of it to do. Um, so yeah, it's exciting to me.
I love that. I also feel excited. I mean, equally, I get scared
Yeah.
and excited. And I think, we were talking about how deep this transformation is, and, what can make this healing hard is that you are literally stepping out of an old world. Everything you knew that even if it was causing you this pain and symptoms, it's kept you safe and it's served a purpose and it's protected you. It's served you in all these different ways. But you no longer need that system, let's say, that system, belief systems, like all different things that have connected you to the world, to the people you love, to money, to housing. Your security is all wrapped up in this world. But it has to shake, you got to shake it up, and you have to kind of like step out into what I have been saying with my clients is you kind of have to jump into the abyss.
Yeah.
And even though I can be saying, like, there's something there, you're going to land on a ledge, like, you're going to do it, but you can't see it. And I can't be there, like, all day, every day, telling you, like, you're going to land somewhere. But ultimately, you have to take that leap. And I was saying to a client the other day, the only thing you know in that moment is whatever you were doing before was not working. And even if you don't feel fully ready, parts of you are ready enough to have ditched that system and resonated with something new. But that is terrifying. And that's why your symptoms can get worse sometimes when actually it's all working and you're doing like you're right on track and the ledge is just around the corner you're going to land on. But it is shakes you to the core, that fear of, the ways you've been relating to yourself and the world around you. And that's what can be so terrifying, but also super exciting. And yeah, so those two things resonate with me. The terror, like I have been like rocking, shaking, sweating on my bed at times, just like, make putting in boundaries, like saying things I haven't said before, speaking up and like shaking, like speaking up, we're just raising the bar of respect and dignity for myself and just shaking and sweating like I don't know what's gonna happen. Is the world gonna fall? Is my room just gonna like fall in on me? I'm gonna like die, be gone. Like it's just terrifying. And then when you break through and things start to shift and change and you do start living in an environment within yourself, and the external environment starts to reflect that with more respect and dignity, and it's like whoa, and that's what excites me because I'm like okay cool, ready for the next level. Like
Right. No, I love that. I love that. And I just really feel you on the idea that like even something that like may feel small is not small. Like setting boundaries, for example. Like and that I've been in that same exact place where when you're like, what if I really say this? What if I really do this? What if I really say no to this? Or bring this up with that person, whatever it may be, like what would happen? And I've found that when I come out on the other side of those moments, I'm I'm almost shocked by how small I was forcing myself to be. Like if like in your story, it's like I'm here sweating, rocking, shaking, and it's like this is really what it feels like for me to like set a boundary. Like, oh my God. Like yeah, I do need to do this healing work because this is where I'm at right now. Like, I've just totally been there. And in that way, it
100.
really does hit. Um, where you're like, how could you not be grateful for something that helped you like move through that? Like, at least for me, like, of course, I'm grateful for anything that would help me like stand up for myself and set a boundary if I need to set a boundary and be honest if I need to be honest. Like, let the truth out if the truth has to come out. Like, anything that helps you just be like real and whole is good.
Totally. And that's what the symptoms are doing. They're just like distracting you from this. And when you start to like shift the focus or, wind down the fear of that or the focus on that symptom, then your truth starts to come out. It's like you can't even stop it. It's just like, "Ah, did I
Yeah,
say that? Is this happening?" Like, and it's like it's that richness of that connection with yourself, which is just everything, I think.
absolutely.
So, we're coming to the end of this epic chat. Is there anything that you want to particularly touch on? I'm going to leave all your details in the description. Anyone can get in touch with you. I know you have slots, you're taking clients.
Yes, I do.
Um,
I do have slots open right now, so it's good timing. Glad and I love working with people with chronic pain now. So like if you're watching, let's go.
and is there anything else, any particular like golden nuggets or tips or anything that you want to share before we wrap up?
Well, okay, I guess two things. The first thing that I want to say is not really a golden nugget, but it's coming to me given what you were saying. Something I've found is that this work really is not for everyone. And what I mean by that is not that it doesn't work. Like, because if you have chronic pain, it's very likely that it's, emotionally and psychologically driven. So doing emotional and psychological work to get rid of your chronic pain, like basically is the way forward, period. I think there are some rare conditions where it's not that I'm not like, doctors will say, got to get this and that ruled out. But overwhelming majority, it's psychological and emotional. So this is the work to do. So this is what works for chronic pain. That said, it's really not for everyone. Like even though it would work for everyone or at least for almost everyone who's struggling with chronic pain, it's really not for everyone because a lot of people truly are not ready. Like the number of people in my life now that I'm on this journey and I'm like I'm doing well and this has been life changing and like so many of my symptoms are gone. It's like, I'm like a total evangelist for this stuff because I'm like this really works. No one, I'm telling you, no one who I know has picked it up the same way I have. Some people have been kind of like interested or they get it or they're like, oh, maybe I should do a little like emotional exploration, or I should journal about that, or maybe someday I'll get to it. I've gotten a lot of that. I've gotten a lot of just like flat out like, no, never, not for me. That's crazy. I'm glad it worked for you, but like I guess you needed that because you have emotional problems and I don't. So, I've gotten that too. The defenses are just so strong around this stuff, and it is remarkable to me how many just like people I know in my life who I really like love and care about who have chronic pain issues, probably none as bad as mine when they were really bad, but still people who like have issues that are not like debilitating, but it's like they're causing problems in their lives. But they're not ready for it. And I get it. Like the deeper I go into it, the more of like a full I'm like full body makeover. I don't even know what you call it. It's like the more of it's like a full transformation of the self. Like the way you were saying, where I was like, I experience pain differently, and you're like, I experience everything differently. That is true. I mean, it really does change your brain and it changes your life and it opens your eyes. And a lot of people really are not ready for that. So I guess what I'm saying is like for people who are into it, I really think that we're like the cool kids who are getting lucky because like we because we're like allowing this in. So we're allowing ourselves to be like real with ourselves. We're allowing ourselves to heal. And even though it feels hard, obviously it is hard, it's like not everybody can handle this. And if you're doing it, like you can handle it, and that's awesome.
I am obsessed with this so much. I think that too. We are totally the cool kids. I'm obsessed with my clients. I just think you're so fucking strong, like, and so brave and so courageous to do this. And that's why it helps, right? To just get in touch with Sean or I and just take that support is because you want to find your gang, like you want to hang out with your gang and have this support around you. And you're so right, and when I first found this, I wanted to share it with everyone, obviously. But yeah, it's just really compassionate to let people around you who you love also just find their own way in the world. And I think there's like different things out there for different people that they'll find their own like deep transformation in different ways. But yeah, if this resonates with you, like hang out with us, get in touch, like we're the cool kids.
For sure, for sure. And I get okay, so this was what in terms of like wisdom, I guess, or a golden nugget, I guess what I'm thinking is like to me, like I always want to balance the idea that like because it's so true. I agree 100% with what you're saying. Like for different people will have different roads that lead them towards healing. Absolutely. That said, there's a lot of roads that actually don't lead you towards healing because I've been on a lot of them. Like I have been on a lot of like I said when I was doing like the liver and gallbladder cleanse, that road did not lead to healing, and I've been on a lot of roads like that. So while yes, there are a lot of roads that lead to healing and like you yeah, like you got to pick and find find what resonates with you. My advice to people is like look under this umbrella. Like if you have chronic pain, stick to the umbrella of like things that help you emotionally and things that help you psychologically, things that help your nervous system, things that calm you down, things that help you explore yourself and get to know yourself more. That's the umbrella to be looking under. Like from that umbrella, pick whatever you want. But the other worlds that are like, just do the parasite cleanse or like just
I did
I'm like,
it. Mm.
right, see, right, exactly. I'm like, don't when you hear like, oh, different things work for different people, know where to like keep the boundaries on that one is my advice to people. Because like don't look in the wrong spot. Look in the right spot.
100% well said. I was the same, did all the parasites and the diets and all of the external things. Anything that's going to bring you under that umbrella, exactly. The relationship with yourself, the suppressed emotions, bringing richness to your relationships, and yeah, just bringing that regulation, nervous system regulation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's my golden nugget.
Yeah. Golden nuggets, amazing. So many golden nuggets throughout this whole conversation. I loved it so much.
Same.
And so I will leave all of Sean's details. You can get in touch with him and you can like and subscribe this channel and leave any comments, any questions we can answer in the comment section. And yeah, thank you so much, Sean, for being here. And we
Yeah,
will see
thrilled to
you
be here,
all.
and I'd love to come back anytime. So whenever you need a guest, call me.
We will love to have you back. See you.